All right, Melinda and Lanyis. Where do you guys grow up? Where are you from originally?
I grew up in Glendora, California.
I grew up in Covina, California.
So suburbs of LA.
San Gabriel Valley.
Yep.
Right.
And Melinda, tell me about your childhood. How'd you grow up?
Spoiled rotten. In a very nice home, Christian, spoon-fed religion. My mom worked at our church, Presbyterian church, for 30 years.
So a somewhat wealthy family?
Yeah. Yeah, and, my siblings were 10, 12, and 14 years older than me. So it was like having 5 parents, really. But a very close-knit family. They still get together all the time, every holiday, birthday, stuff like that.
How would you describe your childhood?
I was happy.
You were happy?
I was spoiled. I got everything I wanted.
Great childhood.
But
Except what?
except for when they decided to cut me off, and that was a huge rude awakening. But I am so grateful that they did, because had they not, I would still not know the value of a dollar. There's a lot of life lessons, huge life lessons, that I would be struggling with still today if they hadn't, I'm sorry.
Yeah. And Lanyis, how'd you grow up?
I never met my dad, and my mom raised 4 kids by herself, and we were always on welfare and always moving from place to place, like pretty much the opposite of the way she grew up, because we were always like going without like food or electricity or like, hot water. Like, it was really rough growing up for me. And my sisters, like, I have 3 sisters, I'm the only boy, so I don't know, it just seemed like really hard for me growing up. Like, I didn't have like a really good childhood.
It's interesting that you guys are so different, the way you grew up.
Yeah. I think sometimes he resents me for how I grew up, even though when I look back at it, I feel like it was a big disservice my parents did to me as far as spoiling me, and they did it out of love, but it put me back a little bit, and I had to learn a lot. I think it's what made me defiant and made me want to go on the other side of those tracks and find out what was over there, and I don't know. There's a lot of things that were negative that came from that.
But no abuse, no sexual abuse or physical abuse or anything like that?
No, nothing like that. No.
How far did you guys go in school?
I'm sorry?
How far did you go in school?
I've done, I did all my prereqs for the RN program, and I've done cosmetology and certified medical assistant. So I enjoy going to school.
I made it all the way to 11th grade, or I completed 11th grade, and I never went to senior year. So I still need my credits to graduate high school, because I never graduated high school.
Got it. And drugs came into the picture for you at what age?
That would be freshman year in high school.
For me, it was right around the same time period that I dropped out of high school.
Yeah. So what are your drugs today?
What drugs do we do today?
Yes.
I do methamphetamines, heroin, Roxys, fentanyl, but I don't do fentanyl anymore. What else?
I do everything. Like, I've done everything.
No, but what do you do today?
I prefer heroin and crystal meth, and I slam both of them intravenously.
Yeah. And where do you guys live now?
We're homeless.
We're homeless on the streets of where we grew up, pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're not on Skid Row, you're...
Well, I lived 9 months out here on Skid Row, and then that kind of went bad, so I had to go back to staying out on the streets where I grew up.
When you say things went bad?
Like, I got into like a bad dope deal, and some guys tried to like stab me and stuff over on San Julian and 6th, I think,
Right.
in a porta potty, because like I guess I owed this guy money and stuff, and
Yeah, owing people money on Skid Row is the good way to get hurt.
yeah, and I luckily pushed one of them up into the other one and escaped out of the bathroom, but there was 3 of them, and they had their knives out and stuff, and luckily I got away because I don't know, I left that day and I never came back, so I rarely come back out here to like pick up drugs. Like that's why we're out here right
But
now.
you're here today.
I came out here because honestly we sold some food stamps, and she let me borrow some money so I could pick up what I needed, and I just spent $100. Now I don't have anything.
And how do you guys support yourself now?
Well, now or
I recycle every day.
he recycles and I help him. Don't get I help him. Not every day, but I do also get SSI and disability. Now, back before I relapsed, I worked full time and I received that. Now I just receive it. I don't work. I'm really trying to get back into recovery. I had 8.5 years clean and sober.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Do you have kids?
Yes, they're grown.
Yeah, I have no kids.
No kids. I mean, what do you tell me your view on this lifestyle and addiction and all that? I mean, it's I've heard it all. I mean, I've
my
heard people
point
say
of
they
view-
prefer it. I've heard people say it's
My
horrible.
point of view is I'm kind of glad it happened because now I know in a way, but would I do it over again? Probably not, because I've seen a lot of bad things and I've done a lot of bad things that I would have never have done if it wasn't for wanting the heroin so bad that, you know, like it takes away from like your values and your morals, and it makes you like not care about things that you really do care about, you know. And I've had a lot of people turn their backs on me because they knew I had done heroin, and like they just like stereotyped me as this person that I wasn't, you know.
Yeah, I've heard many addicts say their priorities are so changed because of the
Yeah.
addiction.
I agree.
You know, their families, their health, their
Yeah.
everything is a distant second to the fix.
I feel like my whole demeanor is different because of the drugs that I've continued to do, even though I knew like it wasn't going to be like the first time.
What regrets do you guys have, if any?
What regrets? Me relapsing. I knew that my misery was going to be refunded to me almost immediately. And not only was it refunded to me, like times 10. And I've experienced things and gone through things that most people don't, and that people should never have to go through. And I chose that. It's my fault. Like, I get it. I take responsibility for that. Nevertheless, that the hurt and the pain from those things, the repercussions from those poor choices, have really, I mean, some I can let go or just kind of, you know, deal with. And then some just, they're always there. And it's like, kind of beat yourself up over, like, what are you doing? Like, what am I doing?
Yeah, you've had a
Like,
career, you were successful, you
exactly.
come from a good family.
Exactly.
What do you think was the mistake, or what was the trauma that you're hiding from, or what was the mistake you made, or what?
The mistake I made was I stopped working a program with Narcotics Anonymous.
You stopped what?
Straight up. I stopped working a program. There are certain things that you need when you get into recovery. There's certain things that you're to do in order to keep that recovery. I mean, you could want it till you're blue in the face, but if you're not going to meetings, if you're not a service, if you're not being eventually being a sponsor yourself, there's like I said, there's like they call it your toolbox, if you're not keeping that maintained, then you're gonna. It's like how many times can you walk by a barber shop and then you not get a haircut? You're gonna eventually get a haircut. So, yeah, I stopped seeing a sponsor. I think for 2.5 years before I relapsed, and I was working full time. I was going to school full time. I wasn't going to hardly any meetings. You know, I just wasn't doing what I knew it took to stay clean. And then I moved into a house with a couple other addicts that were still clean. One of them, I guess, was dabbling again. And when I saw her coming in and out, having fun, doing that, I was, you know, you start making all those rationalizations and justifications and, oh, it'll be okay just one time. No. One time, too many, or thousands never enough. Anyway, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. I don't care who you are, it's not worth it.
I regret not, I regret showing people what it was like, and they call it turning somebody out. And I've turned people out, and some of the people that I've turned out aren't even alive anymore.
Turning them out is turning them on to drugs?
Yeah, turn them on to heroin. Because, like, I have a friend that just passed away, and I pretty much turned him out on heroin.
Do you feel responsible for that?
Yeah, somewhat I do. Yeah. And it's not easy to live with stuff like that, because he was a good friend, you know?
He's an amazing guy.
It's hard sometimes.
What do you think is the most misunderstood thing about addiction?
The people, like, are stereotyped a certain way. Like that person, don't leave them around your wallet, or like, you can't leave them alone with this or that. But it's not like that, because I'm not like that. I don't steal. I don't ever steal.
Yeah, I found that the homeless people that are recycling tend to be the most upstanding, trustworthy.
Yeah, because they have an honest hustle.
Yeah.
They don't steal.
You're just recycling.
And I recycle.
You're not selling yourself. You're not.
Exactly.
You're not
it's the most
stealing.
honest way to make money, legitly, you know, like legally. And that's what I do every day.
To answer that question, I think the most
misunderstood thing.
Yes, is that it's a disease. Addiction is a disease. It's an actual disease, and it's centered in the very center of our brains. And you know, my parents, I was clean, like I said, 8.5 years, 8 years. In all those 8 years, my parents or family members never went to like Narconon or any of those things, and they weren't educated. And then this time around, during this relapse, they started going to those meetings, and with them being educated about the disease of addiction, it is amazing how much better. Well, how do I say this? Our relationship is changed dramatically
For the better.
Oh my gosh. And yes, they're still worried. Yes, they want me to get clean and sober again. But they're understanding that it's not just me going out there and just saying, you know, excuse my language, fuck you parents, or fuck you family. I don't give a shit what you say. I'm just going to do what I want. It's not that. It's really, and especially with heroin rather than methamphetamines. I used methamphetamines up until I met him. But anyways, it's improved our relationships amazingly, and thank God for those type of meetings for family members and friends.
Yeah, I think understanding
Yes.
amongst everyone, not just the addicts, but the families and everyone,
Right.
can help a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because, I mean, even I used to just think that all these homeless people were just a bunch of lazy,
Right.
you know, no good, you know.
Some of them are,
Yeah.
You know,
but not all of them.
Yeah, there's all kinds of.
Because they just given up. You know, they just given up. And
But the stories of childhood trauma that you'll hear.
They always play effect in
I've
it.
heard it all. I feel like, like
It's incredible how common it is.
I didn't
That's
really
probably
have any
the
child.
link right there, or the missing piece, or whatever.
What?
What they go through in their childhood.
But I didn't go through anything.
Yeah, you didn't. Melanie's story is very interesting because she's coming from a pretty trauma-free
Yeah,
childhood, right?
like major trauma free.
Was there addiction in your life?
Was it in my life?
Yeah. Do you have any relatives that are?
I think my grandpa
Alcoholics?
was an alcoholic, but I was never really around. I never saw him.
Who's
drunk.
that?
I think I know for a fact that my mother's father was a really bad alcoholic, but he died when I was 7. So, and I never experienced like an episode or anything with him being drunk. Other than that, no. I guess that doesn't make any sense. Maybe I'm just natural born addict.
Maybe you
But-
have a curious mind and you're just curious.
Oh gosh, I was a curious cat when I was young. Yes. But I think also the other thing is that I was just bored. Like I always wanted to hang out with the bad kids. I always thought they were funner, and because they grew up differently, and I don't know.
You guys been together how long?
4 years.
4 years. It's hard to keep a relationship together. a
Oh
romantic
yeah,
one,
on the streets especially.
Yeah.
and being addicted.
Yeah.
Trust that. I think if I wasn't 10 years older, we would have broken up a long time ago. Because then I'm older, I'm able to kind of like see when things are it's his age. And I probably shouldn't just say, oh, it's okay. Because there are things that need to be, he's going to have to face them. We don't need to talk about that.
Understood. What's the most important lesson you've learned in your lives?
That family is number one, and that honestly, I wish I had never messed around with drugs, because it's caused me nothing but negativity. I've had to go through things, from getting my face split open for no reason, just to knowing people that have been through some crazy things. It's all stuff that no one needs to ever know or go through. And that I should have listened to my parents. I should have listened to them.
The one lesson that I learned was you never know what you have until it's gone, so don't wait till it's gone to appreciate what you have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those are good lessons.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
should have listened more than always ran my mouth. That's for sure.
Thank you so much for sharing your stories.
Thank you.
Thank you.